Welcome to Vibe and Shine, the podcast where prosperity meets personal growth. I'm Krista. I support moms with ADHD to get clear on what they really want and work with their brains rather than against them.
And I'm Jessica. I'm your growth-minded guide who helps align with the most inspired and intentional version of yourself in both life and business.
In each episode, we'll dive into mindset shifts, strategies, and business insights to fuel success, while also keeping alignment and well-being at the center. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a leader, or someone on a journey of self-discovery, this is your space to grow, thrive, and create a life by design.
In today's episode, we'll be exploring the feminine frequency, how your natural rhythm, energy cycles, and intuition are directly connected to your wealth flow. We're going to start by taking a grounding moment here and do a deep breath together. So you can close your eyes or keep them open and just breathe in and nice and big, and then exhale slowly. So how'd that feel?
Good.
Felt good. And the reason why we're doing that is because this is a deep topic that we're talking about today, and we want to make sure that we're clearing our energy and being able to focus on it intently. So with that being said, we'll start with understanding the feminine frequency.
Awesome. So what does it mean to flow with feminine energy in business and wealth?
So let's recap the difference between force energy or masculine energy and flow energy or the feminine energy.
Okay, so masculine energy, the structure. So the essence behind masculine energy really is doing, directing, protecting, achieving. And those core traits that come with masculine energy are linear. So really masculine energy is focused on goals and achieving the outcomes and timelines, deadlines. The analytical really prefers logic and data and measurable results. It's action-oriented and it thrives on progress, productivity, and achievement. So the protective and provider energy, it builds systems and boundaries for safety and stability. Discipline and drive, motivated by purpose, mission, and results. And grounded in the mind, it operates from focus, reason, and willpower.
So important.
It is. And I love laying these out because it really sets the stage for what masculine energy really is. And not necessarily, I think we need to say this like time and time again, not male or female, just the energy behind it.
Yep. And when it's balanced, it creates a lot of clarity and structure and momentum, which is all good things, and provides safety for the feminine energy to express freely. But when it's not balanced, it becomes controlling and rigid and disconnected from intuition or emotions, which is going to be critical to what we're talking about here today, and can lead to burnout, overworking, and loss of joy or creativity, which we don't want to experience in our life for the most part. The feminine energy, on the other side of things, is more about the flow. So the essence of the feminine energy is being rather than doing, feeling, nurturing, and receiving. And receiving is really huge for wealth flow because you're talking about giving versus receiving, masculine versus feminine energy. And if you want to be in a state where you can receive more wealth, then you have to be by nature and feminine energy. So tapping into that will allow you to be at your most receptive state and therefore be able to attract the most wealth into your life. Want to go over the core traits for feminine energy?
Yes, if I can say them all. So in regards to cyclical, it moves in rhythms and seasons rather than in straight lines. Intuitive, feels what's aligned rather than analyzes it. Creative and expressive, births ideas, beauty, and emotional connection. Receptive, open to inspiration, pleasure, and abundance. Nurturing and collaborative, values relationships, empathy, and harmony. And grounded in the body, it operates through sensation, feeling, and embodiment.
Very much different than the masculine energy that just is grounded in the mind. And so it's a lot of thinking versus doing and being, most importantly. And to touch on the relationship aspect, both of us are in careers where we have to build relationships in order to make money. And so when we're in the feminine energy, we're able to embrace that a little bit more. So I really think that's important. When the feminine energy is balanced, we look at magnetism as being a familiar feeling, attractiveness, creativity, ease, authenticity, and we're able to just be ourselves. And so that in and of itself, when the feminine energy is balanced appropriately, attracts rather than chases. And so the opportunities, wealth, and aligned relationships will therein come to you. When it's not balanced, it becomes passive and indecisive, which can be a hindrance to business, or emotionally overwhelming, which we've all been there, especially as females. And we can have breakdowns or, anything along those lines. And there's not as much structure or boundaries or follow through with what we say or things we're going to do. So it could be the unbalanced part of it as well. Inherently, the energies are not good or bad, but distinct, and we can use them appropriately in business.
Yeah, that awareness of each is important. Excuse me. So in summary, the masculine energy is more of that planning, the systems, structure, goal setting, sale tracking, the discipline. And then the feminine energy is more intuitive marketing, creativity, networking, rest, and self-trust. So this is where it gets interesting. Today we're going to explore the 4 phases of feminine rhythm, inspired by the moon or menstrual cycle, and how each phase correlates with business cycles. So, Jessica, do you want to tell us about the first one?
Sure. We'll talk about the new moon and the menstrual part of the cycle, where we really should be reflecting and resting and reviewing things in our lives and our business and tapping into our intuition a little bit more. The rest in and of itself allows us to take that time and space to reflect. The next phase is the waxing moon, and that'll be the follicular state, which is more of a creative state. And so by that, we mean we can vision things, we can imagine things, and plan things out. The next phase will be the full moon, and that's your ovulatory phase. And so in here, kind of with our Vibe and Shine podcast theme, we can shine. So we're able to launch things, we're able to collaborate more and be seen and be heard. And that's all part of visibility, which is huge. And the last phase is the waning moon, or the luteal phase, which kind of puts everything together and helps you loop back to the beginning, which is a refinement state. And this allows for completion, evaluation, and somewhat of a structure. So the myth that consistency equals success is crucial, especially for women like us in the fields that we serve. And what our goal is to reframe success as a cyclical sustainability and not anything that has to do with repeated actions on a daily basis or linear mode, because that's just not how we operate. So what are your thoughts on that?
So it's interesting because you brought this idea to me, and it's actually been coming up more and more in my life, and maybe the people that I'm surrounding myself with. Right. And it's really making me reframe and think about everything, not just the business, but also, family and life and how I do things, and how society is more masculine and push, go, go, go.
Right.
And consistent, be consistent. Well, whether it be me being female or the ADHD, whatever it is, I don't necessarily, I feel like it's more feminine energy for me. And the phases, I need to remember to rest. I need to remember that it isn't so
black and white.
Yeah.
Like there is gray.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So we're going to deep dive into the phases now and talk about some actions potentially you can take in your business and in life too, and some things that might be able to help you during those phases. So the first one we're going to talk about is the new moon phase, and this is where your vision and your intentions kind of are birthed. And so they can't really be birthed without a time to settle and rest. And so if you think about it, when you're on the go, you might have thoughts about things that you want to do, right? But there's no intention or action behind it. And by action, I mean allowing yourself to have that space to really cultivate the idea and bring it to life, and not necessarily just think of like, oh, I want to write a book, right? Okay, well, there are so many people that want to do that. But what does that vision really look like? And allowing you to take the time and, effort to put that together during a restful time of your life it's going to be better off in the long run. You're going to have the A to Z from the beginning to end type of vision versus just a thought saying, I want to write a book, right? You're able to actually think about it on a deeper level and map it out. And so this comes through more with your inward reflective energy of your menstrual phase. So reflecting on what's working and what feels misaligned is something that you can focus on in your business. Setting new intentions or financial goals without a lot of pressure, which is a huge thing. And reviewing your mission, values, and long-term vision. So does that book, let's say in this example, want to be part of your long-term strategy for your business growth, right? Maybe your marketing strategy. Or does it just want to be something that you want to accomplish over time, right? If it feels like it's just another thing that you need to do and you're not allowing yourself to experience it from a standpoint of, I just want to experience writing a book, right? Or experience that for marketing for my business, then the intentions are kind of off and you feel that pressure built up. Yeah. I have to do this thing, right? Not I get to do this. I am at a point in my life where I have enough experiences that I get to write a book about them and put that into my future marketing for my business.
Yeah, I love this because it's also, looking at what you want to do in a way that is also, am I using this as a distraction? Yeah. Why do I want to write a book? Why do I want to do X, Y, and Z? So.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've experienced this before, but there's people out there who, they have courses and things like that where you can take, and they're coming up to and approaching you. And, it's part of their job to make those sales to get people to write books, right? But sometimes it doesn't feel aligned with you at that moment, or you really are just too busy and don't want to or can't allow yourself to set aside that time that it deserves. Right. And so strategically putting things that need that time and dedication into phases like your menstrual phase will be more helpful for you in the long run.
Yeah. Great topic. I'm so excited to do this.
Journaling and meditating, on your next chapter, what does that look like for you? What do you want to come about in this chapter? Maybe it's a quarter, a month, or a year, a couple years down the road. What do you want it to look like? And another important tool is to clean your workspace, or your inbox or client list, whatever that might look like for you, and make more energetic room. I find myself doing this all the time when it really is, to me, in a 3 to 4 week cycle. And I notice that I'm very aware of the ups and downs and ebbs and flows in my business. There could be, a week where I make $0.00, but the next week or two, I'm making multiple thousands of dollars. And so it's kind of hard in a systemic approach in society to think about rationally that doesn't fit right? But when you're in alignment with your phases, it fits perfectly and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So
that's huge. And that could be said, clean your workspace, but the home too. When you walk into your home, how does that then make you feel?
Sometimes it's a part of your workspace too.
Exactly.
If you work from home. So it's even more important.
Exactly. And I love the journaling idea because you can also then, go back to it when you're in a different cycle, or, when you get back into the new moon cycle, to kind of say, okay, where was I then? Am I still in that same space? And
right. More reflection too. And some of the best activities, I would say, are more planning and journaling, but allowing yourself to have that like free thought time. It's not structured by any means. You might say, okay, I'm going to sit down and journal and plan for 2 hours because that's what my day kind of allows at this point. But is it necessarily every minute you're structuring, like you're doing something in that hour or two, or is it just letting yourself freely think? And so we want to kind of go towards that free thinking in this phase. Quiet CEO reflection days. You and I are both our own CEOs, so we can have those days, and we don't have to feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've had to learn over time. I'm not sure about you, but
I give myself a lot of CEO time.
Well, that's good.
Probably too much.
That's good. Well, I mean, there's time to adjust to and think about it, like if it's helping you or if it's not.
Right.
And yeah, reviewing your finances from an intuitive lens, not passing judgment on them, is critical. And also, like we talked about in the last episode, saying no and creating boundaries to what no longer fits where you want to go, or even where you are at that point in your life. I'm a big proponent of forward thinking, and if the place that you want to go doesn't have the people that are currently in your life there, then it might not be the best fit to keep continuing to have them in your life, maybe at that capacity.
Yeah.
Just because there's a lack of understanding from that person or people, and sometimes can be like an anchor for you. And you don't always want that if you're trying to get to places where you've never been.
Yeah. That's important to think about. And it can be hard too, because that can include family sometimes.
Very hard, yes. So the mantra for this phase is, I honor my rest and I plant my intentions with trust and clarity.
Should we say that again?
Sure. You got it.
Okay. I honor my rest. I plant my intentions with trust and clarity.
Love that.
Yeah. So the next phase is the waxing moon phase. And this phase is where the building and creative juices start flowing. The energy behind this is creativity, expansion, momentum, and confidence. I think I'm kind of in the waxing moon phase right now.
I might be there a little bit too much, but I always like building and creating. But there's times I need to be more restful and need to be more strategic in planning. So,
and no judgment, right? No judgment behind if you're there too much or not.
Nope.
So the cycle equivalent is the follicular phase, the rising and fertile energy. In regards to business and the focus in business, it's in brainstorming and building new offers and content or programs. The exciting thing, it's exciting to create new things. Map projects and timelines. So masculine structure in service of flow.
Yeah, so this will be more of using your planning intentionally. And you might have some time blocks in there that you've put out to get things done in a way that best utilizes the masculine energy, but in the container of the feminine energy and flow. So it's kind of like a framework that has, little bits and pieces of structure in there for planning and projects and timelines.
I think it's super important that you're acknowledging that it may kind of veer towards the masculine energy, but I love you use the word container and that consciousness of masculine versus feminine energy. So it's not, again, so black and white, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, there's similarities, but it's different, and it's the awareness and
Yep.
behind it. So network or connect with collaborators, new partnerships flourish here. This is one of my favorite things to do.
Mine too.
We meet a lot,
But not all the time, right?
Oh, true.
Not all the time.
We have talked about this. Sometimes she and I sign up for too many exciting networking things, and it gets to be too much. And or maybe we sign up for these things in one phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time it comes around, we're in a different phase, and we're not necessarily in that same space or energy.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
It's more so what it is, in my humble opinion. But but so that's the point of today's conversation, is to expand our consciousness on these phases. That way we're able to better align our business and when we are at our best to perform and receive in each one.
Yeah,
So.
it's huge. Honestly, I'm just here to really absorb all of this for myself, because I learned so much.
Yeah.
So another focus in business is experimenting with new marketing ideas or tech tools, which is exciting too, or scary for some of us.
Yeah. And it's important too, because a lot of times we just think about like the next flashy thing. Mm-hmm. And we want to implement it, and then we see something else, and then we want to implement it, and then this kind of gives us a reason to like, oh no, wait that 3-4 weeks and see how it does, and if it performs better for your business or personal life, then stick with it. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't, then it gives you kind of a reason to like just transition to something else.
Yeah, I actually was in a networking group, and one of the females said that she found herself, kind of going to the next shiny object and then starting a project, and then, it fizzled out. That happens to a lot of ADHDers. Yeah. And so she said she wrote all these things down that she wanted to do that excited her. And then, to your point, she would go back. She would kind of sit with it for maybe a week or so. And again, in the context of these phases in the cycle, I didn't even think of it in that space, but now I am right now. And she'll go back and she'll say, okay, is this really like aligned with what I want to do, or was it just like you said, that next flashy thing, in front of her?
Like, it sounds good on paper.
Yes.
But is it really aligned with your intentions for your business?
Yeah.
Sometimes, a lot of times they're not.
Right.
There's a lot of things out there that are distractions, and we tend to go to them because we think that the gratification is going to come relatively quickly for those things. And a lot of times it doesn't.
Right.
But despite the timeline that you think it might take, the ones that are more aligned with your business, no matter what that timeline actually is, are going to flow better. So it makes sense potentially to have 1 or 2 things that you focus on that really feel inspired or you feel inspired by and aligned with. Then, like you said, your friend who has 17 different things they want to try, and trying all those things at once, and then none of them feel like they're aligned. Right. So having that mental inventory, or in this case, she had a physical inventory, is probably really helpful. Yeah.
To that point of going back to that overwhelm, you're doing it to yourself. You can do it to yourself.
Yeah.
So also focus on, like you talked about, focus on actions that feel inspired and not forced. So best activities that go along with this are content creation, team meetings, creative planning sessions, vibe off each other, if you will. See what I did there?
True.
Yeah. Vision boards or campaign designs. I know I created a vision board last year, and I plop it up on my corkboard, and I look at it all the time, and I'm inspired by a certain word or something like that.
Picture.
Yeah,
and to go back to your point where you're talking about like your friend who wanted to do all these things, right? And it's common to start something and not finish it or whatever. Like for me, I don't know if you see this with a lot of ADHD folks, but I do best when I can physically see something like in front of me, whether it's here in my reality or not. Like a vision board, right? I might not have X, Y, or Z thing, but the fact that it's on my vision board knows my brain is subconsciously rewiring to say like, it's possible to have that in my life.
Yeah.
And so even when it comes to, for example, I'm redoing rooms in my house. Right. So for me to just say I want to redo my house or a room in my house and not have any of the supplies to do it, it just stays up there. So the best thing that I can do is get the things I need for the room, and then it becomes even more, pressing for me to do it. But I still take into consideration the times where I feel energetically capable of doing it.
Right.
But it gives me a reason to do it more because it's in front of me.
Right.
And so I have that, like, I need to see things type of persona. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you have any insight on that.
Oh, I feel like we've talked about this, maybe just the two of us, but for me and the ADHD, I always leave things out on the counter so I can remember it. And it drives my husband bonkers. And he's like, that's not in the place that it's supposed to go. And I say, yeah, but I need to see it so I can remember.
Yeah. Very similar.
Yeah. So that could also look like, creating like pop-up reminders in your phone or something like that. So then it is a physical thing and not necessarily keeping things out.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not too great with phone reminders. Like anything really on my phone, I feel like I can ignore pretty easily. Like it just goes out. Like it's not here. So I'm a post-it note person.
Oh, me too.
But everyone teach his own, right?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, vision boarding and campaign designing, writing, filming. I think we're both kind of in this phase at the moment, and giving ourselves the ability to have the energetic space to record a podcast, which we do throughout the month, but it seems to be aligning to when we are most at our best. So for that activity. And, building new funnels or offers is another thing that you can do during this phase. The mantra for this one is, I am inspired and I act with joy and trust that the seeds I'm planting. Yeah.
It's huge.
Which is very huge. So we've talked about it before, but planting the seeds and allowing them to be, nurtured and fertilized and all that kind of stuff. But you have to plan it first. Yeah. And so that's where the vision comes in. And then taking inspired action towards that. Right. So
yeah, I love it. Like nurturing it, it takes time. Trust the process. Trust it's not things aren't gonna happen overnight as much as society and we may want it to. And now that you've planted that seed, you've thought of the idea, you planted the seed, and trust comes in. But we don't necessarily have to know how the opportunities are going to unfold. We just need to know that we need to have full trust and faith in the fact that we had planted that seed and something is going to grow of it. And it doesn't hurt to plant multiple seeds. Right. Because sometimes some won't grow, just like in life. Right. Right. Absolutely.
So
great point.
So next we're going to talk about the full moon phase, which I think gets a lot of attention just in life. And so this is really a time to be visible and magnetic. And so I love this phase. It's a time to celebrate. It's a time to be expressive and create the most attraction you can towards yourself, to be seen, to be heard. And this partners up with the ovulatory phase. So you have really the most energy in this time period. You want to connect and you want to communicate with others. And so if you want to talk about the focuses on business, I'm sure our listeners and viewers will love to hear about that.
Sure. Well, doing what we're doing, launch podcasts or services. Ideal time for visibility and connection. As you said, attraction, visibility. Schedule podcast interviews, webinars, and collaborations. Promote and share your message boldly. Magnetism is at its highest here. So
love that.
Ooh, I do too. Because I notice like in different phases, I don't necessarily feel that way all the time in regards to my business.
100%. Sometimes you feel like you want to hide in a shell.
Yeah.
And then other times you're like, it's me. I'm here. I want to be seen and I want to be heard.
Yes. It's wild. And I'm so glad that we are actually putting this to words and understanding, because now it just makes so much sense.
Right. And you can accept it to an degree where it can help you to amplify your business in the right times for you.
Right, exactly. And also celebrating wins. Gratitude amplifies your receiving energy. I absolutely love this because at night I have a wins journal and I have a gratitude journal.
Oh, wins journal.
And I find that some days the wins journal can be, really tricky. Like, what did I do today? And I don't want the wins to be consistent with, I did a load of laundry. I don't want them to be just necessarily physical things that I've done for the house or my duties or whatever.
Right. Or checking off the box.
Yes, exactly. I want the wins to be, I really try to like go inward and say, what is a win that I accomplished today internally, and sometimes also it's taking a shower, for some people. It's simply getting up and out of bed.
Maybe as a thought there, during times where you might not feel as inclined to have that gratitude or wins per se, because you feel like you're checking off a box. Maybe we just skip that for that day or that week. And I know a part of you, and I'm sure others, want that routine and that stability and structure. But that in and of itself is not aligning with your overall cyclical nature. So maybe you skip that and in a sense, just feel the gratitude, and you don't need to write anything down as a part of a task to do, but you can just experience that feeling on its own.
You just called me out, man, because sometimes I feel like I have to fill the page with not only gratitude, but also wins. So I do kind of, I did do the laundry. I mean, that was a good thing. I find that excuse.
But it's also like, what is that proving? Do you have to prove that to yourself for accountability, or is it more in your best interest to go with your natural flow? And in that sense, you are being accountable to your true self.
Right. Yeah, I bet I could go back and look at pages, and I have, and I look at it and it's like, well, that's just kind of silly. Like, it doesn't feel like it's coming from a place of alignment and true, genuine gratitude. It's.
I felt the same before. I had a gratitude journal for a long time, and I found myself in that same exact place. And ultimately, I scratched it because in my daily life, I can feel gratitude without writing something down.
True.
I've cultivated that energy a lot where most times of the day I do feel gratitude. Right. And so do I need to show to myself or to an outside world that I have a list of things I'm grateful for? Yeah. No. Writing stuff down, yes, that does happen to help you, but it doesn't always have to be so structured, I guess is the point of that.
And I really appreciate your response, because if I'm not feeling it that day, I need to not put that masculine pressure on making it a consistent thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, we work in a 28-day, sometimes a little bit less cycle versus the masculine energy being that 24-hour cycle, right? So that is a lot of daily tasks. You're putting something that should be utilized in a sense of feminine energy into a masculine block. Yeah. So maybe instead of doing it, every day, you could do it during the phase that feels most aligned with you. Yeah. Great
ideas and advice, and I'm going to take this home and run with it.
Maybe it doesn't feel like so much of a task if you're like, I can do it for, 3 weeks. Right. And then you take a break, and then you go back and say, I can do it for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So I did notice I missed it when I took a break from it. And then I kind of got out of alignment, not necessarily saying that just doing a gratitude journal really was the thing that, threw me off the alignment track, if you will. But to your point, starting it again when it just feels right is important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think the last focus in business that we'll talk about is connecting with your audience or clients. So nurturing your community a little bit more. Just nice hand in hand with being magnetic and really putting yourself out there. And just to name an example, the other day I was talking about how, I just had posted something that was really big and I got a lot of engagement and it was very positive. And so it wouldn't really make sense for me to necessarily post something maybe just as big that deserves just as much attention a day or two afterwards, right? Because I felt like I was very magnetic in that point. And then since then, things had changed a little bit. And I was like, well, I don't, feel right now that I want to be as seen or as heard. Let me wait a little bit.
Yeah.
And so that's just an example, because then you're also not giving that the attention it deserves.
Yeah.
And yourself, you're not feeling aligned with it. So
yeah,
it didn't really make sense for me. But
and that makes sense too in the energy levels. Like masculine is, we're on a high. We're getting a lot of engagement. People really are open to this. Let's just keep that going, right? But to your point, it's looking inward and, what feels right, what feels aligned, what, do I want it to grow or do I want to, continue posting? Maybe you do, but it's that mindset and pressure or lack thereof behind it, right?
Yeah, the intention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Word of the year. So some best activities, product and service launches, speaking engagements or lives.
Like TikTok Live.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. I have a girlfriend who is doing 30 speaking engagements in 90 days. And I'm very inspired by her. And I wonder if, she was in the phase of creativity and she's like, I'm
when she
doing
planned
this.
it.
Yes.
And when it comes around, she might be like, oh, what did I sign up for? Or like some days are, you don't want to be there. So I get it.
Yeah. Sales calls or client events, team celebrations or appreciation rituals, and updating your branding, your photos, your website content. That's huge because sometimes, we're like, oh, maybe it should be done, but pushing that when you're not ready.
Or you just don't feel like, you're not necessarily ever going to be ready per se, but I think we need to lean into more like, I feel like it or I don't feel like it. Like, why do we have to put this pressure from society on ourselves when we could tap into it's almost shameful to say, oh, I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
But when the feeling doesn't align with your goals and your business dreams and stuff like that,
right,
or how you want to take your business, then why are we doing it? Why are we putting ourselves in that pressure and that box?
It's huge. Distraction or forced.
And so the mantra with this phase is, I shine my light freely. My confidence attracts aligned success. So the confidence really peeks through with that. And being a full moon, you think, it's really the brightest. So that kind of aligns with the cycles there.
Yeah. So completing the cycle or the waning moon phase, the review and the refine phase. So the energy behind this is a lot of grounding, completion, evaluation, restoring balance. Also the luteal phase. So discernment, preparation for renewal. You want to...
I love that.
You're better at explaining and expressing.
Well, thinking about preparing for renewal, what that means for me or for you might be different, but kind of like what we were talking about, right? That 3 to 4 week phase where, after that time period, you feel more energized to come back and you start thinking about okay, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z now because I have more clarity on it. The intention is there, but that it didn't come without that restoration and the experiences of the 3 prior weeks, right? And so it's so cyclical. Like for me, an example would be when I continually go to the gym for 3 weeks at a time, and then, you know, that 4th week, I'm like, oh, I don't really feel like going. And then after the week off, I'm like, okay, now I need to get back into it. And then it just happens. It's just happened so much in a period of my life where I was like, is something wrong with me that I can't be consistent for every single day? And I just noticed it would just happen in 3-week cycles. And so reflecting on that now, and learning about this through research, I've known that that's more just because of who I am and the energy that I exude as a woman. Some of the focuses in business for this phase are reviewing results and analytics from recent launches or projects that you might have sent out in the prior phase. And so to refine your systems and processes, or even client onboarding experiences, is another focus for this phase. So another focus in business is following up on leads, invoices, and unfinished details. For me in my business, I tend to have a lot of events where I'm talking to people and clients, but it might not make sense energetically for me to follow up on those leads right then and there.
Yeah.
So I do it honestly when I feel like talking to people. And that doesn't happen every day for me. Some days I'm in a shell, and other days I'm prone to want to talk somebody's ear off.
Yeah.
But when I follow up with leads in a good energy that I'm feeling like I want to talk to people, it's better off for me and better off for them.
This is good to talk about too, because sometimes I feel like in the times where I almost give off that needy energy when it feels forced, right? Like, hey, do you want to do this? And then I get a response and it's like, well, oh, I didn't mean to kind of come across like that. But I think it's really important to look at yourself internally and say, you know what? Today is just not a day that I can respond. And our society expects you to respond immediately, instantly, all the time. But it's that self-awareness to say, you know what? I can probably sleep on it and come back. Or, you know, give it some time for the phases. Right.
Or even just setting times in your day where you feel more inclined, like, to talk to people. I know I need a lot of time to wake up and cognitively be there to have conversations that I know are important and deserve my attention and my full responses. But sometimes in the morning I can't give those, right? Or even late at night. It's not the best, like the ideal peak time for me. Practicing energetic clearing and releasing comparison or pressure is huge in this phase. And also prioritizing rest, nourishment, and grounding before the next cycle. So really completing that cycle and coming back to, okay, what are my core values? What's my mission statement? And then even taking some time, I think, to be away from your business, be in nature, be with your family, just taking a little bit of time to go back to your roots essentially, and before you rebuild.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I'm hearing the word rest come up in a good way, kind of in all of these,
a needed way.
Yeah. But more focus in different phases.
Yeah. And so we'll talk about a couple of best activities in your business. So admin cleanup is good, something that doesn't require a ton of energy. You've got spreadsheets, you've got emails, financial reviews on your own self or in your business, and expense audits, updating your workflows or automations, and decluttering your office or digital space. So you can work on that again in this phase. And maybe taking some shorter weeks or signing off your computer early. Or like you mentioned before, maybe not going to that networking event that you signed up before. You know, if you hadn't had the proper planning up until this point, maybe not going to that event and really taking some time to rest and get caught up in other areas of your life, or just rest. And that's totally okay. There's no guilt or shame that's needed to be felt. So the mantra for this is, I release what's complete and I rest in gratitude for all I've created. More rest.
Yeah. We should probably put those mantras up too.
Yeah. We'll throw those in the footnotes.
Yeah.
And so next we'll talk about, closing out this episode, a chart for our listeners and viewers that really summarizes the moon phases and business flow. And so you'll see each of the moon phases and how they line up with the part of your feminine cycle, what energies you should be tapping into, where you should be focusing in your business, and really keywords that you can think about during those phases, or in our case, weeks of our cycle. So
yeah, this is going up on my cork board at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jessica, I'm sure we have some women wondering, what if my cycle doesn't sync with that of the moon phases?
That's a very important question to ask, and one that I had pondered myself. And so I think that a lot of women probably are thinking, well, maybe I don't get mine anymore, or I don't line up with the actual phases of the moon. And that's totally okay. Your cycle doesn't have to match the moon's timing in order for you to harness its power. So we talk about your cycle and the moon being two separate rhythms, but they act as energetic mirrors to each other and how nature moves. So you as an individual, you are in a waxing, peaking, waning, and resting phase. And so with unpacking this for your own clarity and compassion towards yourself, there's no right phase to be in. We can use both the moon and your body as guides to help create awareness towards maybe what phase you will be in. And you can create your own personal flow calendar. So it doesn't have to match up with that of the moon, but tracking your cycle and understanding what phase you are in during that week helps you better organize your business. And so the ultimate goal with this is resonance, which is another amazing word, not synchrony. So we don't have to cycle sync with the moon cycle. We just have to resonate with the meaning and just the energies behind it.
Yeah. And I think grace is also a good word, and just simplifying it.
It's true. I mean, you want to give yourself grace because you are human first and foremost. You're not your business, and you're not what society tells you you are. So embracing that human nature over everything, I think, is super important. And so we're going to end this episode with a quote that we think really hits home with the topic of aligning our natural feminine energy. And this is by an unknown author, but the feminine is not weak. She's the rhythm that makes the world move. Give me chills.
Yeah. And remember, your journey to empowered abundance continues on the next episode. Thanks for listening to Vibe and Shine podcast. Keep shining bright.
Thank you.